Fox 17 News in a code red weather alert for 2 rounds of severe weather when you need to be prepared.
I want to thank the Lord for providing this miracle.
Plus, a presidential pardon. A former Tennessee state senator sits down with Fox 17 News just after leaving federal prison. Rideshare rule changes, why state leaders say restrictions are needed. And in the high cost of homelessness, how you will play a critical role in clearing up some homeless camps.
You can put the word natural in anything. You can have all kind of toxic ingredients and still called natural.
Sounding the alarm about beauty products, the possible health risks. Fox 17 News at 9 starts now.
Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
First on Fox tonight, storms that caused damage like this out in California are now headed to Middle Tennessee, bringing with them the chance of some severe weather. Good evening, everybody. We begin with a Fox 17 Code Red weather alert for 2 rounds of severe weather headed our way, and our Code Red Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan is tracking both, and the timing is not too much separation between the two.
No, one's going to be overnight, and then another one going into Saturday. I'm going to technical problem here for a second. I realized my microphone just slid down my sweater.
I can still hear you great.
Well, good. I'm going to do my best to put it back on my sweater on top with as minimal impact as possible.
I give it a 9.9.
Thank you very much. Yeah, right when you tossed to me, I was like, oh, my mic fell off. We're all good. So let's get right into what we're expecting as far as severe weather goes for Saturday. 2 rounds. The first one's going to be Friday night and Saturday. It's really after midnight, but it'll be as you're going to bed Friday night into Saturday morning. Second one is Saturday afternoon into the evening. Both, we've got level 4 out of 5 threats somewhere in the country. So this first one overnight into Saturday morning, just to our west, a moderate risk for severe weather. But we are looking at a 3 out of 5 threat for those along and west of I-65 for the overnight. As we get into Saturday afternoon, we will do it again. This time, the moderate risk, highest risk is just to our south, but we once again are in that level 3 out of 5 risk. So we are very much in the mix for severe weather for both rounds of severe storms. Right now, I would put wind at the highest threat level. Tornado potential is possible, and I may actually have to move this up one more, at least half notch going into tomorrow. The potential for a couple strong tornadoes will exist with both rounds here in Middle Tennessee. Also, as we get into Saturday night, flooding may become a concern and could find some large hailstones as well. We have had a few thunderstorms this afternoon, a couple very short-lived severe thunderstorms. This was a hail issue, and these are very summer-like. No tornado potential from today, and again, storms have dissipated. So we stay quiet as we head through the overnight. And there again, off the coast of California, we've had the first storm system come in. This will be Friday's impact, Friday night into Saturday morning, but just behind that is the second one that'll come through for Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. Temperatures stay mild tonight. We're going to walk you through future track here coming up. I'm going to break this down throughout the hour here. We're going to spend some time talking about our first round coming up in just about less than 10 minutes, I'd say. We'll talk about Friday night, Saturday morning, and then a little later we'll talk more about Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. Timing it out, impacts, all the things you'd need to know, all in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
Thankfully, President Trump came through.
In Operation Crime and Justice tonight, a former state senator who pleaded guilty to campaign finance fraud is pardoned by President Trump. And now Brian Kelsey is speaking to Fox 17 News just days after walking out of a federal prison, a free man. Fox 17 News' Karen Aguilar live downtown outside the state capitol with the controversy surrounding Kelsey's release.
Scott, some people are upset President Trump pardoned Brian Kelsey considering he pleaded guilty, but others say it's the president's right to pardon him as Kelsey maintains his innocence. Former Tennessee Senator Brian Kelsey walked out from federal prison in Kentucky on Tuesday, 2 weeks into his 21-month sentence, receiving a clemency letter from President Trump.
I was actually on the prison yard doing exercises when the assistant warden called out my name. Did President Trump come through with the pardon? And she said, yes, he did. And I was overjoyed.
The president pardoned Kelsey for a campaign finance fraud scheme Kelsey pleaded guilty to in 2022. Federal prosecutors say Kelsey illegally funneled money from his state campaign fund for his 2016 congressional bid.
If you are innocent, why did you plead guilty in 2022?
Well, I got terrible legal advice that I would just get probation, and I was in a bad spot in my life. I had a father dying of cancer. I had 6-week-old twins.
You were a former lawmaker, an attorney, and how could you not be sound of mind to make that kind of decision that would have a lasting impact?
Well, look, we're all human. Well, look, we're all human, and when you're under these kind of pressures from weaponized DOJ, it is tough.
Kelsey tried to withdraw his guilty plea, but it was denied. He blamed the situation to what he called the weaponized Biden Department of Justice.
This was just a hit job.
Kelsey tells me this pardon is a miracle, and it came after Republican lawmakers representing Tennessee wrote letters to the president pushing for this pardon.
I want to thank specifically Congressman Tim Burchett, Mark Green, Chuck Fleischman, and Andy Ogles. Thank you, President Trump.
The White House didn't comment, and neither did the United States Attorney's Office in Nashville, where the case was prosecuted. Reporting live in Nashville, Karen Aguilar, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Karen, thank you. And you can see our full interview with former State Senator Brian Kelsey on the Fox Nashville YouTube channel. When you get there, just search Brian Kelsey. And while you're there, we invite you to become a subscriber.
I think it's terrifying to get in an Uber or think you're getting in an Uber and it's not the right person.
Growing Nashville is Fox 17 News, tracking the good and the bad associated with mid-state growth. An issue Fox 17 News has been tracking for more than a year now concerns surrounding rideshare drivers downtown. Well, now state lawmakers are considering a couple of bills that would keep riders safe when they use one of these companies. Fox 17 News' Chris Knowles live downtown on Broadway with the very latest on both of these bills. Hey, Chris.
Imagine getting into a vehicle and you think it's a real Uber or a Lyft or even a taxi, but you later realize that it's a fake. Well, that's something that is actually happening here. And not only does it put your life at risk, but these people charge higher prices for these rides.
House Bill 786 will go before the full House Monday. The bill criminalizes impersonating a rideshare or taxi driver. Offenders could spend 6 months in jail or face a $500 fine. This issue gained attention last year after one man said he mistakenly got into a fake taxi and was charged an excessive amount for a short ride.
Kind of a common sense bill that, hopefully comes into play much, but if it saves one life, it's worth it.
House Bill 879 will go before a Senate committee Tuesday. If passed, a driver will need a special license from the state and must renew each year. Supporters say this will keep out-of-state drivers from taking fares from locals. Companies found in violation will see a fine of $1,000 per violation or could lose the right to operate in Tennessee. I talked with tourists on Broadway who back the tighter regulations.
I feel like it's comforting. It just understands and kind of just exemplifies how scary things are and how bad it had to get in order for those laws to be passed in the first place.
I think it's terrifying to get in an Uber or think you're getting in an Uber and it's not the right person or it's a random person, and knowing that they could take advantage or do something, especially when you're drunk and trying to get a safe ride home. It's scary.
Nashville cab companies also want to see the change. They say these imposters also take away from their bottom line.
I talked with a Lyft driver and asked her what are some ways that you can possibly find or identify an imposter before you get to that part of riding with them. She said, first, check the license plate. See if the license plate that you have on your phone matches the license plate that's on the vehicle. She said, two, ask the person, what is their name? Make sure the name matches. Then ask them, what is your name? Because they should have your name. These ways can hopefully prevent you from going on a ride with an imposter. Reporting live in Nashville, Chris Knowles, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Chris, thank you. Now, tonight's Fox 17 News viewer poll is asking if you think rideshare drivers in our state should be required to receive a special license from Tennessee to do business. We've got 354 people weighing in. 56, almost 57% say yes. I think it's a good idea for them to be licensed by the state. 43% say no. The poll's live right now. If you'd like to weigh in, scan the QR code you see on your screen. It will link you directly with our X page. Our handle is @Fox Nashville, and we will review these numbers for you coming up tonight on Fox 17 News at 10. Putting you at the forefront of a new effort to clean up homeless camps across the state. The role TDOT would play. And hitting a sour note, how a change to Southwest Airlines baggage policy is impacting Nashville musicians.
This Fox 17 News Code Red Alert is sponsored by Sarah Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac.
In the high cost of homelessness, a new plan to help clean up homeless camps across the state relies on action from you and puts the Tennessee Department of Transportation, TDOT, on the clock. Fox 17 News has spent years highlighting the growing homeless problem across the mid-state. Fox 17 News' Hope Salmon tonight to explain what lawmakers are proposing.
Here at this overpass, you can see tents near Interstate 65, where some people call home. And it could be removed, and the question is, do they have enough time to get out? Driving or walking near an underpass, you may have noticed tents or people's belongings near the road. The Senate passed a bill to remove campsites like this. Under the plan, TDOT would be required to work with local governments to close camps on its property within 30 days after a complaint.
As a service provider, we know that folks in encampments often have a lot of barriers to housing, and that housing in our community isn't readily available for everyone.
Lindsay Cranks is a co-founder of Open Table and House for All Tennessee, which is a statewide coalition on housing and homelessness.
It took service providers in Nashville an average of 150 days to move folks from the streets into housing through our coordinated entry system. That's 5 months.
She's worried 30 days is not enough time. In 2024, Tennessee had more than 8,000 people experiencing homelessness across the state, but nearly 4,800 year-round shelter beds, leaving 3,500 people without a place to go.
It is extremely cruel to target that population, especially when all they have usually to feel some sense of dignity is their belongings.
Democrats agree this is not the best option, but Republicans argue safety is the concern.
So I think it's trying to make sure that there's not other accidents if something's going on the road system unwarranted, someone getting hit because they're camping and they're too close.
In a statement today, TDOT says we are sensitive to the needs of the unhoused community. So before we clean up state property, we notify community outreach services and law enforcement about the encampments so those individuals are offered the necessary resources.
We ought to declare it passed without objection.
The bill now heads to the House committee next week. At this time, there's no information regarding exactly where these camps are going to be removed or how people could get their things back. Reporting in Nashville, Hope Salmon, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Covering the Capitol, state lawmakers are aiming at people who make online threats right now. Fox 17 News' Johnny Maffey in studio tonight breaking down a series of bills they're considering to address this issue.
There is currently a law for online threats against schools, and Tennessee's Homeland Security Deputy Commissioner says when school threats were happening at a frequent rate beginning of this school year, he feared the law wasn't quite working, but school threats in Tennessee, he says, have come down since then. They've been less frequent, so the department does hope if the same principles are applied to a law for people making online threats knowingly towards government officials or civilian, as the bill reads, or even buildings, as the Department of Safety says, it can decrease those threats. But what if the threat comes from outside the jurisdiction?
A lot of crime these days crosses jurisdictional boundaries, especially with the way we communicate these days via email, telephone. It's not uncommon at all to have all manner of crimes that cross jurisdictional boundaries. So a terroristic threat or threat of mass violence would be no exception.
Tennessee Homeland Security Deputy Commissioner Greg Mays, who you just heard from, says the charges in this scenario would be Tennessee charges, and whether or not the suspect would be extradited would depend on the situation. It's a bill we will definitely keep following. In studio, I'm Johnny Maffey, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Johnny, thank you. Katie, as we track a potential stormy weather that's moving in tomorrow, we've got tens of thousands of people in town for the SEC tournament, and we need all those folks to have a plan too.
Yeah, for sure, especially going into Saturday where it'll be more of a day threat on Saturday. Tomorrow is during the day going to be a fairly nice afternoon. The threat again won't come in until pretty late Friday night, probably here in Nashville, closer to 3 o'clock in the morning, early Saturday morning. So a nice day for Friday, lows in the highs in the low 80s. We'll find more cloud cover moving in. It will become breezy throughout the day, windy even as we head more into the evening. Again, after 7 p.m. as we head into the night, we'll start to see the winds crank up a little more. Storms after midnight, west to 65, after 3 a.m. east of I-65. So the timing here tells you after midnight here in purple, between 2 and 4 in blue, and 4 to 6 for those in pink. We're expecting the threat to gradually weaken as it moves through Middle Tennessee, and that split will likely be I-65, where the greatest threat is west to 65. Unfortunately, we are looking at an enhanced tornado risk for tomorrow night if the storm ingredients can come together, and that's a big if, but the potential is there, and we're talking about a nocturnal event. So case in point, we want to make sure that you have those ways to stay alert. It's imperative you have those ways to stay alert through the overnight. The yellow here indicates a 10% risk of a tornado within 25 miles of a point. And unfortunately, 1 or 2 of those could be a strong tornado, meaning an EF2 or greater. That threat again diminishes as we head more east to 65. So the bottom line, there are a few ifs, ands, or buts with this potential. It's there. But the cap could play a spoiler. The cap, remember, is what we have on our pot. Think of a pot on a stove and it's boiling. You put the cap on, the steam is in the pot and can't come out. Once the lid comes off, steam rises, storms can fire up, rise, and become strong quickly. And that's sort of the same thing we're looking at for tomorrow. If the cap erodes or goes away, storms will be able to fire up very fast, and there's a lot of ingredients for severe potential if they're able to fire up. And so we want to make sure, especially when we're talking about an overnight event, that we're planning for the worst case, which is what we have here, that level 3 threat west of I-65. So as we walk you through Friday, notice the day is fantastic. We'll see a partly cloudy sky, highs in the low 80s. It will become windy as we head later in the afternoon and into the early evening, but the day is fine. We get into 8 o'clock, you can start to see a few showers and storms popping up. Anything that is out by itself, like this one here, 9 p.m., we've got a couple of these that the model's trying to pick up on, would need to be watched very closely. Entering into an unstable atmosphere and could see again rotation within these storms, especially the ones that are out by themselves. That continues as we head into the overnight. After midnight, you can see through 2 a.m. a couple clusters of showers and storms here that will definitely need to be monitored. And that continues through about 4 through the I-65 corridor. But as we get closer to the morning hours, I do think early morning, 4, 5, 6 a.m., I do think that threat begins to weaken as we head toward the plateau. That's all round 1. We'll talk more about round 2 coming up.
Katie, thank you. Southwest Airlines drops a popular travel option. Why it's striking financial fear in the hearts of Nashville musicians. Continuing coverage tonight as Southwest Airlines ends its decade-long policy of allowing 2 free checked bags. Fox 17 News' Madeline Nolan shows us how this change is impacting local musicians.
Southwest's new bag policy is definitely hitting the music community hard, especially right here in Nashville, where a lot of these independent artists rely on the airline to travel with their equipment. Founded over 50 years ago, Southwest Airlines has long stood out for its customer-friendly policies, including the Bags Fly Free perk. However, starting May 28th, that all changes. Passengers without elite status or premium fare tickets will be required to pay for their checked bags. The policy shift aims to boost profitability amid rising operational costs and pressure from investors. But Mark Taylor, an independent country artist right here in Nashville, is frustrated over this new policy, pointing out how it will impact many in Music City.
I think we're going to see a direct impact because Nashville's such a hub for Southwest. So, you know, I really feel for a lot of these folks that are trying to make ends meet right now. And really trying to figure out a way to make it work and still go and enjoy their concerts. But I think it's going to have a direct impact on the Nashville economy, and I really hope we can figure out a way to right the ship here.
Taylor says most bands travel with multiple different crew members and several heavy bags. His team estimates this change could cost them an extra $15,000 a year. And as the May 28th deadline approaches, many of these artists are going to be left dealing with how they're going to adapt to this change. In Nashville, I'm Madeline Nolan, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Giving the gift of life, the blood type in short supply right now, and the gifts you can get if you're willing to roll up a sleeve.
Your happy hour could be the next victim of the Trump administration's escalating trade war. I'm Atrell Nashar with the president's latest tariff threat against Europe.
In the economy tonight, President Trump doubling down on tariff threats as the trade war continues to escalate. The latest threat is targeting Eastern European alcohol. Fox 17 News' Atra El-Nashar reporting tonight, showing us the impact that this is having on Wall Street.
President Trump inching the United States closer to what's hard to see as anything other than a trade war. And the list of opponents is growing. The president says the U.S. will shortly place a 200% tariff on all wines, champagnes, and alcoholic products coming out of France and other EU-represented countries.
The European Union is very, very nasty.
Why? The European Commission, along with Canada, just raised tariffs on a range of American products, including an additional 50% on whiskey. A response to President Trump putting 25% tariffs on their steel and aluminum. Trump is escalating the trade war he chose to unleash. France's trade minister says, "We will not give in to threats and will always protect our sectors."
In my state in Kentucky, we make 95% of the world's bourbon. I think everybody in Kentucky knows somebody who works in the bourbon industry. This is going to have a devastating impact.
The White House brushing off market panic over the tit-for-tat tariffs.
One or two items with one trading block, I'm not sure why that's a big deal for the markets.
But it's just the latest layer of uncertainty that's really starting to take a toll on American business, getting in the way of the ability to plan. Larry Fink, the chief executive of BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, describes what he's hearing from CEOs.
Talking to CEOs throughout the economy, I hear the economy is weakening as we speak. And I think that's a natural response because we're uncertain. We're uncertain what will the tariffs have the impact on our company. People are uncertain, and federal workers are uncertain if they're going to have a job right now.
President Trump downplaying the fallout.
Now there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long.
That disruption already showing up in the stock market. And in the coming weeks and months, many retail executives say tariffs will leave them with no choice but to raise prices on imported goods. A threat to the progress that's been made to bring inflation down. Thursday morning, a better than expected wholesale inflation report from the Labor Department shows producer prices were flat last month. Two questions loom. How long will economic disruption from tariffs last? And do Americans have the patience for it? In Washington, I'm Atrell Nashar reporting.
Right now, a Fox 17 health alert as Blood Assurance, which provides blood to several mid-state hospitals, makes an urgent appeal for O-negative blood. The nonprofit says supplies right now are critically short. And joining us now from Blood Assurance is Brooke Katz. And Brooke, if you would, explain what critically short in terms of your supply means.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having us, Scott. You know, a critical supply level would be anything under a day's supply for the most part. And right now we're looking at about a half-day supply of O-negative blood, which is not where we want to be.
Exactly. Now, I know O-negative is somewhat a rare blood type. I looked that up, but it's also called the universal blood type. Please explain that if you would.
Yeah, it's so important to have O-negative on the shelves because, as you said, it is the universal blood type. And that means that regardless of your blood type, if something happens to you and you need blood, O-negative will be something that those emergency departments can reach for. And where that's really important is when you're talking about things like emergency situations where there's not time to type someone's blood. Those emergency departments have to have plenty of O-negative on stock so that they can treat those people when they come in.
Now, I know you always need blood donations and you need a steady stream of folks coming in, but because you've got this critical shortage, you also have a little incentive package put together. What are you offering people?
Yeah, right now, if you come in and you donate before the 17th, we have special shenanigans t-shirts that we're giving away, and people tend to look forward to those around the holidays. So that's in celebration of St. Patrick's Day that's coming up. But also, if you're O negative, you will be able to get a $25 e-gift card if you donate, and also AB Plasma will be able to get a $25 e-gift card.
I thought that was really nice, and I'll just tell people I've seen a picture of that T-shirt. It's a really nice looking T-shirt that I think people would enjoy wearing around St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, they're really cute and it's fun. You know, we do special themed shirts for different events throughout the year, and people love to come out and collect those.
How often can someone donate if they've recently given?
You can donate once every 56 days. So we encourage people to do that. We have a lot of people who are very regular donors, but we also have a lot of people who come in maybe once or twice a year. And if really people would just come in and donate, if everyone would come in and just donate maybe even once or twice a year on their birthday or their anniversary for some special occasion, we wouldn't have a blood shortage anymore. But also for those people who come in only once or twice a year, if you'll come in more often, that is a huge benefit. And you know, it all stays local. We are the supplier for the local hospitals here. So it's a way that you can give back and directly impact your own community.
Brooke, really quickly tell people how they can find you.
You can go to bloodassurance.org/donate, and that will help you find all of the closest donation centers to you.
That's perfect. Brooke Katz with Blood Assurance, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Our code red alert continues for Friday night into early Saturday, and again Saturday afternoon into the evening hours. Things are quiet for tonight, and going into tomorrow morning will be a nice start to the day. Temperatures climbing into the low 80s for the afternoon hours. So nice Friday. It won't be until overnight that we're expecting that first round, which is why it is so important to make sure that you are prepared with multiple ways to stay alert when we're talking about nocturnal events. Reliable weather app like the Fox 17 Code Red weather app. Alerts turned on your phone. Weather radio in case cell towers go out, and making sure you're staying up to date. Local television, social media, and other online sources, all good things to have as we prepare for Saturday. Tomorrow, I mentioned the day is going to be great. Temperatures around 67 at 10, up to close to 80 degrees by 2. Should top off in those low 80s for the day, and mainly sunny to partly cloudy skies. Winds will pick up as we head through the afternoon, 10 to 15 early in the morning, but that grows to about 15 to 20 mile per hour sustained winds as we head more into Friday night, early Saturday morning. Gusts could be up to 35, so these will all be winds outside of thunderstorm potential as we head more into the overnight hours early Saturday. We'll talk about that round 2 event for Saturday afternoon, which looks to be more of the main event, more widespread severe weather for Middle Tennessee. That coming up.
Also ahead, quarterfinal matchups all set. The key for the Vols in their SEC tournament opener tomorrow versus Texas.
You can put the word natural in anything. You can have all kind of toxic ingredients and still called natural.
And sounding the alarm about beauty products, the possible health risks. In sports, day 2 of the SEC men's basketball tournament is wrapping up downtown as we speak. A win today earned Texas a game tomorrow afternoon against the top-ranked Tennessee Vols. They're in the top 10. Fox 17 sports director Jill Jelnick now with more on the quarterfinal matchup.
The 4th-seeded Tennessee Vols will face off against the 13th-seeded Texas Longhorns in the quarterfinals on Friday. And good news for the Big Orange, Tennessee has already beaten Texas on the road earlier this year. The Vols faced the Longhorns back in January, with Tennessee coming away with a 74-70 win. However, we all know that when it comes to March, you can ride a lot of momentum, and Texas will have all the momentum on their side coming off of back-to-back wins to start this tournament.
Everyone goes to a conference tournament wanting to win it, and with that said, you know, we've also know that about getting our guys as fresh as we can, but yet trying to stay sharp and know that whoever we play is going to have either 1 or 2 games under their belt, and whoever it is, we have to be ready.
Nashville native and former Ensworth star Chaz Lanier transferred to Tennessee last year and is having an impressive senior season with the Vols, leading the Big Orange, averaging 18 points per game. Now, Friday's quarterfinal matchup will mark Lanier's return to his hometown, and Coach Barnes knows that the team will have to rely on him heavily for a deep run.
Just repetition after repetition, what he does and the way he goes about it. That's how he's always done it. You know, he gets it out front quick, and you know we always talk about from chin to rim and getting it out of your hands. And he's been doing it a long time, and I think he's even gotten better since he's been here.
Obviously, the goal for Tennessee this weekend is to try to win the SEC tournament. However, the 8th-ranked Vols also have a lot more on the line. They have a chance to earn a #1 seed in the upcoming NCAA tournament, and they can improve those chances by winning as many games as they can this weekend here in Nashville. Reporting from the SEC men's basketball tournament, Jill Jelnick, Fox 17 Sports, your Code Red station.
Coming up, more on our second round of strong thunderstorm potential on Saturday. We'll time it out in your Fox 17 Code Red forecast.
Also ahead, products designed to make you look more beautiful, why some experts say they could be putting your health at risk. Hair relaxers and other personal care products often marketed to African American women could pose serious health risks. In tonight's Spotlight on America, Fox 17 News' Lisa Fletcher investigates the threat from the dangerous chemicals that are used to make these products.
What you see is a routine salon service to make hair soft, silky, and straight. What you don't see is anything but beautiful.
These products that are trying to push women to look different, skin lighteners, hair straighteners, tend to have the most toxic ingredients.
Dangerous chemicals found more frequently in beauty and hair products marketed to black women, even with packaging that would lead you to believe otherwise.
You can put the word natural in anything. You can have all kind of toxic ingredients and still called natural. So you're stealing my health. You're stealing my well-being.
And neither was up for grabs, says public health professor Dr. Kristen Edwards, who recently partnered with the Environmental Working Group on a new study that examined 4,000 beauty and hair products for toxic chemicals, finding things like preservatives that can cause organ damage or release cancer-causing formaldehyde, and a common fragrance ingredient tied to reproductive harm, now banned in the EU.
80% of products marketed to black women scored moderate to high hazard.
Dr. Alexa Friedman is a senior scientist at the Environmental Working Group who co-authored the report. It found that products marketed directly to black women are more likely to put their health at risk, with only 20% making it into the low-risk category. And while products for all women weren't much better, only 26% achieved low risk, the small percentage gap between the two is deceptively dangerous.
It's a 6 percentage point difference, but 6 percentage points of hundreds of thousands of products that are on our market base actually account for a large portion of products.
Products on the shelves where black women shop. A recent Harvard study found that women buying hair products in predominantly black and lower-income Boston neighborhoods were twice as likely to be offered a selection with toxic ingredients.
You see that these personal care products directly marketed to black women have more dangerous chemicals in them than products broadly marketed to women.
Yes.
Why is that?
The products are cheaper. It's easier to make a cheaper product when you put more toxic ingredients in it. They can market a lower cost product to the black users. I think that the cost is a big piece of it. And then I think it's also assuming that they don't know better.
It's why Edwards founded her company, Black and Green, in 2017, to illuminate what industry keeps in the dark. And since then, some progress has been made, including a dramatic drop in the use of hazardous preservatives called parabens, after public outcry forced many companies to stop using them. Evidence, she says, that once women know the truth, they use their dollars as a powerful tool for change.
Because once black women know, they do better. The second they know better, they do better.
For Spotlight on America, I'm Lisa Fletcher.
All right, let's talk about your weather. For the last couple of days, we've been warning people that severe weather is coming. Today, we actually saw video the damage this very same storm system caused out in California. How often do you hear about a tornado in L.A.?
Not too often. Yeah, those are not too, they're rare. They're not too common. So yeah, big storm system that is already moving on shore in California and will sweep our direction as we head towards Friday night, Saturday, and then again Saturday afternoon, Sunday. Two different systems that we're talking about here, but both are going to provide us with the potential for severe weather. So let's focus more on round number 2. This one I think has a little more potential to be widespread across Middle Tennessee with an even bigger risk for severe weather in the deep south. That's where a level 4 out of 5 risk is already in place for Saturday afternoon and evening. Actually, Saturday late morning into the afternoon and into the evening. Same for us. It'll be late morning right around lunchtime and through the afternoon evening hours that we can expect these strong thunderstorms. There could be 2 waves within this one round that we see here. Level 3 out of 5 for us as of now. I get a lot of questions all the time. Can the risk go up? Could we see the 4 move our direction? It's possible. I wouldn't be completely shocked if we see that at some point, but at this point that doesn't really matter. What we want to pay attention to and really focus on are the impacts that we could see from this event. We are already included in what the Storm Prediction Center calls a significant severe weather event that is possible for us. This circled area that we see here in red, or red highlighted area, indicates a significant severe weather chance with winds, high winds in excess of 70 miles per hour, tornadoes, strong tornadoes that could be possible. This is a 30% chance within 25 miles of a point, so keep that in mind. Within 25 miles of downtown Nashville, a 30% chance that you could be impacted by high wind or a strong tornado. So that is an elevated risk. We don't get those quite as often. So something else to note for Saturday afternoon. So this is second round. Let's take you through future track. I've started this Saturday morning. There should be a lull in activity Saturday morning. How much cloud cover we see and how little rain activity we see could play a role and how much severe activity we get as we get into the afternoon. However, there are so many weather ingredients coming together that it may overrule the cloud cover that we have in the morning hours here. I still think severe weather will be possible. So we take you through noon. A couple of these storms coming in out of northern Alabama will need to be watched closely. They will already likely have severe weather ongoing, so we'll need to watch those. As we head towards noon, you can see that it becomes more scattered throughout the afternoon hours. This is the time frame that I think we would have the potential for a strong tornado and winds, higher wind gusts. These storms that are out by themselves would need to be watched very closely for those risks. As we get more into the mid to late part of the afternoon, we will start to see all of these clusters of storms congeal into a line, and then our threats will shift to more wind and heavy rain. I don't want to discount the heavy rain. The heavy rain may cause some flooding for us, especially as we get more into the evening hours. So now we're at 5 o'clock. As we head more towards 6, 7, 8 o'clock, these storms are starting to shift east toward the plateau. And then as we head into Saturday night, I'd say after 10 p.m. to midnight, we are finally starting to dry out and we'll look at a quiet start to Sunday. So very busy Saturday. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Again, temperatures drop from 83 Friday to 72 on Saturday and down to 60 by Sunday.
Thanks, Katie. Just ahead, mystery explosions on a college campus in Texas, how university leaders cleared students out. And going in the wrong direction, what numbers show as the Trump administration makes massive cuts. And going beyond the trade war, what Canadians could be forced to do when visiting America. In the economy tonight, despite drastic budget cuts by DOGE, the new Department of Government Efficiency, the Trump administration has seen the federal deficit make another jump. It happened last month. In January, the deficit was $840 billion. But by the end of last month, in February, it had risen to $1.1 trillion. That's with a T. Now, that's higher than any February deficit that was logged while Joe Biden was in the White House. Take a look at this, eerie green fire shooting from manholes down in Texas. It was almost like somebody was stepping on the gas and making it happen. The manhole cover explosions prompted school leaders to start spring break early. They had to get the students out of there for obvious reasons. Now, no one got hurt, but tonight they still don't know exactly what caused that mess. Just ahead, another hurdle for Canadian tourists, what could be required of them when they visit the U.S. In news across America, Canadians visiting the U.S. for 30 days or more will soon have to register with immigration. This new rule is part of President Trump's Protecting the American People Against Invasion executive order. It takes effect on April the 11th. Canadians who fail to register could face a $5,000 fine or up to 30 days in jail. Looking ahead to tomorrow night now, it's conference tournament time, and we have got the men's Big East semifinal games for you right here on Fox 17. That means Rick Pitino and St. John's trying to capture the title for the first time since the 80s. You can catch Game 1 tomorrow night at 5:30 in place of our 5:30 newscast. Then at 8, Game 2 of the Big East semifinals, and then make plans to stick around for Fox 17 News at 9 after the games.